Hi everyone, welcome back to Total War Therapy, and today we're gonna answer to the question what is the famous checkerboard formation in Total War Warhammer 3. It's late night here in Italy, so be quiet, don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy my video, and let's begin. Before talking how to build the checkerboard formation in the game, we have to make an important presupposition and learn why this formation is so important if you want to master the game. As I said in many previous videos, there are many categories of missile units and infantry, and one of the largest one are the missile units with the long rifles. This particular kind of unit have many qualities. They have a good range, they have a lot of ammo piercing damage, they are quite accurate, but at the same time they have a very big problem, and is that they require a straight sight to aim at the target. So it's not like archers that they can just be deployed in your second line and shot their arrows while the front line protect them. No, they require to be put in your front line because they need to have a clear sight of the target before shooting. In this first battle, we will build a single front line consisting of both defensive infantry, in this case the spearmen with shields, and the non-Ironsides, that are, as I said, long rifles missile infantry. The enemy will start to approach you, and as soon as he will enter your range, your missile infantry will start to shoot other target. And as you can see, since the non-Ironsides have a lot of accuracy and ammo piercing damage, they will do a very great job. But there is a problem. When the enemy will finally engage to you, you have just two different possibilities. You can stand there and engage in the melee fight with your missile infantry, or just step back and use your defensive infantry to protect your non-Ironsides. Now, in both cases it will be a big waste of potential and resources, because you hire them, you are paying for some high-performing missile infantry that, if they don't get the chance to shoot other target, they will be just wasted. They are not made to engage in melee or to step back and wait. So you have to find a solution for that. Of course, this is a very simplified battle, but you can notice in the bar at the top of the screen that even if at the beginning we were winning, the green bar was superior to the red one because the game was considering us more valuable than our enemy. Even with that, we actually lost the game. This is because the battle tactics you are using against your opponent, it's essential to win. And if you wasted the potential of your precious units, at the end, even if you have better cards, better stats, you will lose the game. Let's start with the second battle, and we will finally build the checkerboard formation. Our army consists again of both the defensive infantry, the spearmen with shields, and of the non-Ironsides, our long rifle missile infantry. But in this situation we will not deploy the units in a single front line. Instead, we will do two lines, the front with our spearmen and the units separated by these spaces. And in these spaces at the back we will put our non-Ironsides. What's happening now? It's not completely true that you have a front line and a second line, but you have two front lines, because your non-Ironsides, even if they will be at the back, they will still have a clear sight of the target, and since they don't fire with the arch line, they will be still capable of hit the target. But at the same time they will be a little more protected. They will sacrifice, of course, a little of range, because they will not be at the very first front line, but sacrificing this range, they will be protected by the melee infantry, because your enemy, of course, he will try to sneak around your units and attack your more vulnerable and valuable non-Ironsides. But at the same time, since the AI is not that smart, they will prioritize at the beginning your melee front line, and you will have more time to shoot other target with the non-Ironsides. Now let's take a break from the battle and let's make some quick considerations about the shape of the formation of the single units. This is a very important topic, and there is a little debate in the community. There are of course pros and cons with any of the two options. If you choose the wider formation, so the more rectangular ones, you will be less vulnerable to missiles, to artillery and to magic, for example, because if there is a spellcaster in your enemy army and this spellcaster has some kind of bombardment spells, if you have a square formation with your unit, this bombardment, even if it's a very low tier magic, it will probably annihilate you, and this happens very often. That's why you have to be very careful. At the same time, there are some advantages with the square form. First, if you are a missile infantry, it will be easier to spin around, and if you need to target the enemy at your side instead at the front, you can just turn, more quickly and in a shorter time. And if you're a defensive infantry, the square position, it's kinda gives you some friction, and the enemy will find more resistance when they try to penetrate you. Yes, when penetrate a square is harder than penetrate a rectangular. That's why they can be a little tougher, and you will get this kind of extra protection. Now let's get back to the battle. As you can see, your non-iron sights still have a clear sight of the enemy, so they can shoot at them. But at the same time, the enemy will try to address directly the melee infantry, and they will use your own infantry as a shield, but they will still shoot. Now, there are some situations that can occur during the battle. For example, in this case, these orcs managed to penetrate the melee, your melee defensive infantry, but as you can see, it was just a portion of their unit, and this makes the work of the non-iron sights easier, because they don't have to deal against an entire unit of orc, but just against a part of them, and focusing on them, they can make them routing far easier. Another case very important to talk about is when like in the first battle, the non-iron sights can find in the position when they don't have anymore a clear sight of the enemy, just of how units are moving around. In this case, you can literally moving a little your melee infantry, giving more space to your non-iron sights to have to get again a clear sight to the target and start to shoot again. As you can see, in this battle there is less waste of potential and resources of your long rifles units, because they will not stop shooting at some point, but they will keep doing that for all the time of the battle, even if of course given that they don't have anymore a very good sight of the enemy, they will probably perform not that good compared to when you put them in the front line and when they shoot directly, but still they will use all of their ammunition, and that is what it counts. They can still deal damage even when the two front lines, yours and the enemy one, are finally engaged. Now let's make a third battle, and in this case we can add the archers and more spearmen. We can put the archers as another third line of our checkerboard formations, and we can put more spearmen to defend our flanks. In this case we will get this kind of pyramid formation, that it can be triangle pyramid formation, that can be very funny. And I mean, of course you don't have to respect the very square things that you see in other gameplays of this game about the checkerboard formation. You can just use your fantasy, your creativity. The important thing is that you respect the rules that we said before, so leaving a space between the units, so you will make it harder for the enemy to penetrate inside your formation, your army, and at the same time you will allow your clear sight long rifles, missile infantry to have their chance to be effective at their job for all the time of the battle. Of course, your checkerboard formation will never be that perfect. Your enemy will find multiple times the way to penetrate your army composition, your army formation. Like in this case, that the lord of the enemy just managed to, get inside the space between the melee infantry, and he addressed it. Directly the missile infantry. And in this case is against a waste of potential, because the non-iron sights, they are definitely not made to deal with a lord, with the melee specialist lord. So you have to use all your skills, your transversal skills of the game, and try to manage with this kind of situation one by one, because as I said, your formation will never be perfect and you will always get some problems, some issues to resolve. This battle you can definitely see that you don't need to get stuck to the rule of this defensive infantry and missile infantry that require straight side to shoot at the target, but you can just play with that. You can add some archers that, even if they have a arch line, so they don't need this formation, they will still benefit because they will be more protected. It will be harder for the enemy to penetrate your formation and to hit them. In this fourth and last battle, we will add the artillery, some hero and different lords, and the giants of the enemy. Now, these are more advanced ideas that you can use for your campaign. For example, in this case, I put some tank characters, in this case a lord and a hero, to protect the space between the melee infantry at the front of your army. So when the enemy will hit you, will approach you, they will not encounter just the melee infantry with the space between that. They will not approach directly and swiftly to go inside, because they will find even the resistance of the character. That it's true that it's a single entity, a single small entity, but I can tell you that most of the infantry of the game can really not penetrate this kind of agglomeration. Okay, if there are another infantry and the lord between them, they can just not enter, they cannot reach your missile infantry. Different is the case of the giant, that of course, being another single entity, you can just address your missile infantry directly and step inside with no problem. So be careful about all of that. Remember, here we have some artillery that we put at the very back of the formation, and still, this is just a way to tell you that you can play in whichever way you prefer. With artillery, for example, even if they don't require a very straight side of the enemy to shoot, they will still benefit from the from this formation, because they will be at the very back. So if the enemy want to reach them, they have to do literally a lot of work. I hope you enjoyed the video, and tell me if you like this kind of format, if you want to see more battle tactics in this channel, and bye bye.